where I got suits from, my son's running around here. I got two of them right around here. But Seth, I think he has actually Sootch's son. He is actually where I got Sootch from. His name is Seth, and I called him Sootch when he's a little guy. And then when I named my YouTube channel, of course I had no idea it was going to do what it did. I just called it Sootch. And so he's actually Sootch Senior, okay, for those of you, I'm Sootch Junior. But, why do I get on things like that where I completely lose track of where I am? But I told my son, I said, let me tell you something. You know, I've always liked guns. I compete in IPSC and IPDA, and I do a lot of things like that. We've been wanting to get into 3-gun matches. My buddy John back there does it. We shoot a lot. We've shot a lot. We've loved guns. Just love it. Eat it. Breathe it. Love the smell of gunpowder. I'm telling you, I love it. And it's an investment too, guys. Wives, guns are an investment, okay? But I told my son, I said, and I was in martial arts for 35 years. I'm going to give my age away. And wrestled in school, high school. You know, if you get in a fight, I'm probably a pretty good person to kind of have maybe around. But here's the thing. I told him, I said, Seth, if I'm on this road and I've got my, and let's say I have no food, no nothing, don't care. I like guns, I like shooting, I like that stuff. And I look down and my children are starving to death because I haven't prepared. Do you think there's anything that's going to stop me from feeding my children besides God Almighty? Which I am a Christian, that is a definite factor. But I look at my 7-year-old son, and he's starving, and he's on his last leg. You don't think I'm going to be passionate about getting a hold of some food? I could, if I was just at that mentality, I could go up the street and take it. Let me tell you something, guys. You better be able to be prepared to protect your food. You know, when Pharaoh and Joseph, helped, and they got all the food together, and they put it all in those stocks. You know, they laughed about that. They actually laughed that they were doing that. But they weren't laughing for long. And they meted out that very carefully. You know, one of the things that we don't ever get to usually is that the Egyptians actually ended up giving away all their property to where they actually owned nothing by the time it was over with. You need to make preparations. Not in the spirit of panic, not in the spirit of fear. Now, let's talk about a few of the things. You know, there is terrorism. And guys, if you haven't looked around, there are so many incidences where we have stopped some things lately. And these people aren't playing around with putting a bomb at a military base. They're actually taking bombs and putting them in baby dolls. Blowing up a place where they're coming together to put up a Christmas tree with families there. And the guy sitting there hitting the detonating button. And of course it was a setup. They are serious about destroying people. Women, children, doesn't matter. Sooner or later they're going to get through. Something's going to happen. That's another reason why we need to be prepared. Listen, you know, the Mormons, which there may be some Mormons in here, and we welcome you, that's fine, but you know, the thing is, one of the reasons why they prepare is they say, you know what, if we prepare and a problem happens, we're at peace. And we can stop and go, okay, we're not in the spirit of panic, we can continue. Listen, I'm telling you, when I get fired up and I get kind of upset, I go out and we buy some food or we'll do some things and we put it back. You know what kind of peace that gives me? When we drove from Columbia in a van, my wife's van, and we drove up, and I had taken the back seat out, and it was dragging like this far from the wheel. You know how much comfort that brought when I unloaded it and put it in our store where we store our food? A lot of comfort. So we need to be able to put these things together. It's very important. But listen to this. The reason why that I do, and again, if my neighbor is prepared, and that's you guys, that's whoever's, the more my neighbor is prepared, the more I'm prepared. The reason why we do things on YouTube, one of the girls at our church, which I didn't really announce this to our church. By the way, you're all invited to this church. Those of you who are going to be in town, I lead the music at this, I do the choir and everything at this church. I will tell you that if you come in here with a camera and put it on YouTube, I'll strangle you. I get enough threats already. But you know, the thing is, I did not tell people at our church. There are some people at our church. In fact, Skinny May is a deacon here. There are people that are here from our church, but I didn't announce it to our church because people are not always ready, and sometimes they think, you know, maybe your little, and some people think that way of me anyway. I don't know. Okay. One thing too is, and just because I mentioned that about church, if you have ever been raised, whether you believe or not now, or you're doing wherever you are in your faith, and of course this is not, somebody asked me, said, is this a Christian conference? All the speakers here are Christian, but no, this is not we're going to preach to you and we're going to do that. That's not what this is about. But this country was founded on God's principles, so I'm not going to apologize for saying a few things. So, but also I respect. So with that being said, if you know anything about Revelation, about the end time, guys, it's looking pretty rough. And if you want to say, well, and I know that people in here are not that mindset, but there are a lot of people that say, well, we're going to be raptured out of here. Ask the Sudanese Christians that have been hacked by machetes over and over that are Christian. Ask the Lebanese Christian militia who have been just shot down by the Palestinians and by the Muslims. Of course, you don't have to ask them. Just prepare. Be ready for what. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the last few things. And one of the things I want to talk about is in 1607, there was a colony here, a British colony. It was called Jamestown. And there were people, they came there, and they were looking for gold. Man, all the gold was down in South America, and the British were thinking, hey, we're going to get in on this. America must be just made of gold. So they came to America, and they were ready to find gold. And you know what? They were so busy looking for gold. You know what they did? They forgot to plant. Seriously, they forgot to plant. They just didn't plant. And in 1607, that winter was called the dying time. And 80% of the people, the men that died, do not think that we are sheltered for something like that. Don't think it. My buddy works at Publix, and over the winter with this snowstorm in Atlanta was frozen solid. He had people come up to him and say, why are these shelves bare? What's going on here? I've never seen a Publix like this. And he said, don't you know Atlanta's covered up? And they said, well, so what? He said, that's where we get our food. And within 72 hours, it's out of here. That's a good point with buying food. And if you're buying massive quantities of food, she must have had a bunch of teenage boys. I don't know. But see, that's one of the things with the cannery that's been an issue, is there are so many people coming in and buying large quantities of food, and so now they're running out. That's part of the problem. And another problem is people going and then taking it to the flea market and trying to sell it because they get it at cost. So that's where buying what you can as you can. Now, if you don't have anything, run to the store and get you some food and get you just a base of food. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of last things, and I'm going to let you go. But one of the things is we have lost the art of farming. We've lost the arts of doing things that will sustain life. Now, the same thing with those groups that were going to, that were at Jamestown that died, what are people searching for now? They're searching for their gold. They're searching for, their big screen TVs, their new pair of shoes, a new car, whatever. A guy told me one time on YouTube, he said, I'd made a comment about, I had something on my channel, a rifle or something, and he made a little comment to somebody else saying, well, he's just rich, and that's why he has all that. And I thought, okay, I drive a used car. I obviously don't really care about what I wear. We sometimes will not go to the movies or not go out to eat to be able to put our money into things that are important. Forego some of the things. Just like the gun thing, guys. If you've got 5 or 6 guns, I'm not telling you to quit buying them, but I am going to tell you to maybe put some of that toward food. Put some of that toward water. And if you're saying, well, and one thing that I hear a lot is too is, well, you can't eat gold, you can't eat silver. Listen, silver and gold will preserve your wealth. You're not going to make a lot of money. I think just now I saw it was at $38.75 an ounce. I bought most of my silver at $5 an ounce. It'll preserve your wealth. I think it was the state of Wyoming has just passed a law saying that silver is now a legal tender, legal currency. There will be, yeah, maybe not today, but later on down the road it's going to turn. Okay, loss of knowledge, guys, get on and learn how to make things. I think the other day I was making fun and I was doing some kind of, I don't even know what kind of voice it was, but just, you know, me. And I started to bring my Batman mask, but I couldn't smoke a cigar in here, so I said I'm not going to do it. But I did I was talking about how, you can find anything on YouTube. You can find anything. You can find anything online. And we all watch these videos, and we sit there and we do this. Listen, but here's the deal. Don't just watch it. Go do it. Go do it. You know what? Come to this conference, gain some knowledge, write down your notes. It's important. But more importantly, do something. Teddy Roosevelt, he said, the best thing is to do the right thing. The next best thing is to do something. The worst thing is to do nothing. If my neighbor is prepared, I am better prepared. Thank you for coming to the conference. Of course, we've got David coming up here in just a minute. We are going to be doing some more raffles. But I want to thank everyone for everything they've done. Guys, you've made this a huge success. And God bless you all.